Hello, I'm Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 25. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman.
Yo.
And a newcomer, a virgin to PRL Podcast hosting.
We're about to pop his PRL cherry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they say you never forget your first time. And yeah, this is Matt Kleiss.
How's it going?
Do you like Matt or Matthew?
Or Matthias, maybe?
Matt is fine.
And is it Kleiss or Kleiss?
Kleiss.
Okay, so it's not like Matthew
It's not
Kleiss,
like John Cleese.
Sex with guys. It's not like that.
Whatever suits your fancy.
So,
fancy suit.
So, Jared, you weren't here with us last week, dude.
I wasn't, man.
What was up with that?
I was getting my Jew on, dude.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, last weekend was a holiday known as Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. And I was just eating some food with some family, watching a little football. And just so happened the conversation turned to politics, which is usually about the time where I leave, which is what I was trying to do.
So was this after, like, the Jewish banking conspiracy stuff?
I can't discuss that.
Okay, sorry.
In fact, I'm going to have to kill you now. So, yeah, conversation turns to politics. And my mom is like, hey, Jared, who is your favorite Republican candidate?
Are your parents Republicans or not? No,
they're pretty much hardcore liberals.
So, like, why would she ask you who your favorite Republican is?
Well, I'm getting to that.
Okay, sorry.
So,
that's just a fucking awful question to ask.
So I'm like, well, if you're gonna make me choose one, I'm gonna have to go with Rand Paul. And she's like, ha, I knew that, because you like his dad, don't you? I was like, yeah, his dad is very, very different, at least publicly. And when I said Rand Paul, like, the whole room got, like, super quiet.
Oh no.
And then, everyone, and like, they're mostly liberals. I mean, most Jews are really liberals.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And so, but surprisingly, they were all big Bernie Sanders fans.
Oh!
Which is interesting.
Why is that surprising?
Do you think they would hold on to their Jew gold?
You
know?
would think, right?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I mean, because, I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to believe that Bernie Sanders has reached the popularity that he has.
I know, it's insane.
I mean, I figured he would be like the Ron Paul of the Democratic Party in how like Ron Paul did not gain the amount of popularity that Bernie Sanders has. Wouldn't you say?
No, not quite the same amount.
Not within like the Republican Party or within the Republican Party.
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, Ron Paul, he got a bunch of diehard people on him, but with him, But I'd say he didn't have, like, it seems like he's getting, Bernie Sanders is getting, like, a majority of Democrats with him.
Yeah, that's the thing. And so I guess, like, this finally, like, made it clear to me that it's not just, like, because, like, I don't trust polls. Like, polls are usually bullshit. The sampling sizes are usually crappy and all that. But, like, just hearing, like, all these just, like, old hardline Democrats, like, talking about this shit, talking about Bernie Sanders, I was just like, wow.
What's he saying that's reaching them, you think? Like,
I think...
Like,
I mean,
what part of his message
like,
is connecting with them?
Well, a lot of it's, like, the whole populist rhetoric, like, like, grow the middle class. I mean, everybody says that, but, just, like, we need to stop these, like, elite people from running things, and we need to give power back to, just like the typical rhetoric.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Ron Paul said we need to stop these elite people from running things, and Ron Paul said, we need to give power back to the people.
Yeah.
So it's funny because in a lot of ways, I think it points out.
Ron Paul should have ran as a fucking Democrat.
Dude, yeah, I mean, that would be pretty fucking awesome, yeah. If you could get a Democratic Ron Paul, I've always said it would be a great idea.
Yeah, I think he would have had way more success within that party. He would have had to tone down some of the like getting rid of welfare shit and taxation and like
Although,
anti-taxation
from what I
stuff.
understand, didn't Bill Clinton during his presidency, he was able to kind of like peel back some welfare, and like Democrats can get away with that much more easily than Republicans,
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, they can get away with a lot easily because like people,
Yeah,
just the whole
they're a little more trusted, I think,
Yeah.
for some reason.
But
yeah. I mean, that's like Bill Clinton like peeled back some welfare, and then like private, like charity like actually skyrocketed past.
Well, it's also
Yeah.
important to think about like when we say Democrats are a little bit trusted, like we right now we all live in Maryland, right? And
Yeah.
where'd you live before, Clayce? Colorado?
I lived in Colorado.
Is it a pretty Democratic
make sure you're
state?
talking to that mic.
Yeah, I lived in Colorado. Well, actually, where I grew up in like rural Colorado in Morgan County, which is actually fairly Republican, I would say. But the state is a blue state.
Really?
Yeah, but like where I grew up, it was fairly conservative.
Now, was that was a rural area? You say that?
Yeah, I mean, like the nearest shopping mall, like from where I lived, was an hour's drive away.
Yeah.
Pretty rural.
Well, that's how like Carroll County is.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
because
exactly.
it's not rural anymore. Well, parts of it are, but like the fact that it was at one point pretty much all farms, all agriculture, you have this like just this whole red state ideal there. Whereas like all the surrounding counties are pretty much blue.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it was very, very similar. So it was kind of appropriate, like when I moved to Carroll County, it was just like
You kind of fit
transplanting
in.
over. It was like,
I mean, there's some good aspects to that culture.
oh yeah, man. I mean, you definitely see more Ron Paul signs in yards in Carroll County
Yeah.
than anywhere else.
Oh, for sure, yeah. You also see a lot of Confederate flags too,
Yeah.
which, take it or leave it. But
Oh,
ooh,
thanks for the pop filter.
We're getting a sweet little pop filter action here.
Does anybody have a hair tie?
Matt, you probably just want to pause this.
No, dude, we're good. I got a pube tie. Okay.
You got a what?
I got a pube tie.
A few times. All right.
Yeah, so we got the pop filter rig. That's cool.
All right, we'll keep rolling with this bitch.
So, man. So we were talking about Democrats being more trusted than Republicans. I don't know if that's real. I kind of feel like that here. But I feel like, I live in a more Democratic state. So if I'm going to go by the people that I'm around, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of liberals, so Democrats seem to be more trusted. But I'm sure if you're in a red state, Republicans are more trusted.
Yeah, of course.
I guess
If
I
you're
was
in
just
the
That's
talking
how it
about,
gets to be that way.
I was just thinking more on like a national level.
Well, I mean,
Or at least like
how would you
or a
even know,
historical
dude?
level. I don't know. I'm just saying that's what the general like
I'm
vibe is.
And all I'm saying is, our views are going to be tainted by, our atmosphere.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's where we're getting our view from. So I guess it's not for everywhere, And I do think, universally, I mean, of course there is like, how many people even vote anyways?
What percentage-wise?
Wasn't it like a
Yeah.
sixth of the population like voted in this last election or something?
I don't think it's that much, but I think it is.
I thought it was like 20% or something of eligible voters voted. Maybe not a sixth of the population, but a sixth of eligible voters.
No, I think it's a little more than half of people eligible to vote.
See, I don't know.
But at any rate, it's not a huge percentage. So, so I
really
mean,
what you're saying is nobody trusts.
yeah, well, yeah,
Nobody trusts either
essentially, I think there are a lot of people who don't bother to vote because they don't think it makes that much of a difference.
Yeah, it's like futile.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
it's obviously not that
that's
important.
a reasonable position to arrive at.
Yeah, exactly. It's
I would
not
say.
that important, And I do think, those people, I don't know. I think should be a little more perceptive to libertarianism, because if they're not believing in politics, if they don't believe in politicians, why would they want politicians making up rules for them?
Well,
Wouldn't
I
they
think
want,
part of the problem though
like a
is
less intrusive government.
I think part of the problem though is you have someone like Bernie Sanders that comes along, and suddenly people are like, oh, this is. And they did the same shit with Obama, too. But people have very short fucking memories.
That's exactly what is so frustrating about this. It's like, this is Obama part 2.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell, people?
Yeah.
You're going to
Well-
fall for this shit
But
again?
yeah. So it's like you get somebody that's supposedly like a change of pace, like a breath of fresh air. And,
It's a fart.
yeah, it's a part of the wind. Dude, we need to do something about his mic.
Yeah, I'm gonna try putting this keychain around it.
Okay.
I
think
That'll
we're good
do
now.
something.
That was good. So,
Welcome back.
yeah.
All right. What were we talking about?
People think Bernie Sanders
Oh,
is
yeah.
a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. No, but it's like, I think people are always constantly tired of politics, but they get duped into thinking that, oh, this guy is just going to change it for the better. He's going to be completely different than all the rest were. And
guess-
every time they're pretty much wrong.
People think that politics is maybe the only way to change things, you know? And so like, oh, well, this sucks, but this is what we have, so this is our best hope. You know, I got
Well,
kind of like a
maybe.
pragmatic approach.
Maybe, but the only people that think politics are, the best way to change things are probably the people that vote. And, look, about half the people don't vote, or
Yeah, that's
maybe
true, yeah.
a little less than that or something. I mean, at any rate, it's not the biggest numbers that really show belief in the system from the majority of the people, And then a lot of the people that do vote, will pretty much acknowledge that, if you talk about somebody like, Ron Paul in like 2008 or 2012, how many times did you hear people say, I like him, but he'll never get elected?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I heard that pretty much every time I brought him up to somebody who was at least open to that,
He's unelectable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't come up with that on your own. Where'd you get that?
Yeah, I mean, he's like, he would appeal to a lot of people. He would appeal to some people on the right, some people on the far right, basically a lot of people. He just came off as sincere, and he was talking about actual freedom, and he also, Jared came from the left. So, where did you come from, Matt Place?
Man, it was kind of a mixed bag. I was fortunate that I was introduced to libertarian ideals when I was pretty young. I got into Rush when I was like 12, 13. My mom had a libertarian boyfriend who actually was involved in like the Colorado Libertarian Party. My dad is fairly liberal, and I think my mom's actually pretty conservative, but she just kind of like went along with my dad. But then, I would hang out with my uncle, and he's like Fox News conservative, so I got, intense opinions from both sides, and I was kind of able to come up with my own opinion pretty early on, so I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah, I just pretty much inherited what my parents believed and then went the other direction into socialism for a brief amount of time.
Yeah.
And then realized that was retarded. And then, found my way back over.
And then didn't Ron Paul actually get you out of socialism?
Yeah, I would say I mean, was he like the factor?
I mean, it sounds like from what you've told me in the past, like he was the main factor. You got into Ron Paul, and then from there, he was like your gateway drug into leaving socialism.
Oh, yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah. That assessment would be accurate.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing about Ron Paul for me was I remember watching the 2008 debates, and they were talking about somehow, the subject got turned to terrorism. And Ron Paul was the only person who was able to give a satisfactory answer to, like, the roots of terrorism. Everybody else is like, oh, they just hate us for our freedom. And he's like, no, it's because, like, we're over there fucking with their shit. And wouldn't you hate it if people were over here fucking with our shit? His answers made sense.
Totally, man. Yeah, I'm not even sure, like, when I first heard about Ron Paul, it might have been, like, fucking, like, it was probably, like, maybe, it was after 2005, I'm guessing. But, I had actually gotten into libertarianism around like 2000, 2001, as far as like the Libertarian Party. Before that, I was a principled non-voter. I was just, I just honestly, I just didn't believe in it at all. And then, I thought both parties were scum. Both parties were crooks. You never saw much positive change come from politics. So it's why even fucking vote? Because when it comes down to it, it's like, the left saying one thing, the right saying the other thing, and then when they get elected, they all kind of just like meet in the middle, and you're constantly stuck with like the same garbage. So it just seemed pretty hopeless. Mm-hmm. And then when I found out about the Libertarian Party, it's like, wow, these are people that think what I believe, and they're pretty much the anti-politicians. And and then from there getting into just like libertarianism philosophy, and then by the time I figured out who Ron Paul was, or found out about Ron Paul, it's like, wow, there's a Republican who's been in Congress since the 70s who's like saying these things.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it was just like mind blowing. It was a glitch in the Matrix. You know,
In the Statrix.
yeah, the Statrix.
Yeah, my
that is a good term, dude.
in college, my roommate actually like introduced me to Ron Paul, and like this was while I was still like in my little socialist
Fantasy
world. And I mean, I was in college. What do you expect, dude? You're just surrounded by fucking socialists. Or just people who don't give a shit. But and he was like, "Yeah, dude, you gotta check out this guy." And I read into his shit, and I was like, I like a lot of this. I can't get behind like the whole free market idea. That was the one thing. Like, I was like, how can you just let like businesses do whatever they want?
It's because they're answerable, to their...
No, I know. The answer is obvious to me now, but
Yeah, I mean,
back then it was like, I like the ending the war on drugs stuff, but the other, all that other stuff, So then, like, when I was reintroduced, I think it was Matt who kind of like reintroduced Ron Paul to me in 2008 or 2012. Wait.
nah, man.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What, 2011?
How long was that? It was definitely longer than.
No, it was. I mean, it had to be. Maybe. I mean, it might have been prior to 2000. It might have been like 2011.
Or 2010 maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time I had met you guys, and I mean, you were well into Ron Paul, and I think that was probably 2011. That was after I graduated college.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it started, and then he started running again. Yeah, that's probably what it was. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, and
Fuck yeah, Ron Paul.
Totally, man. And then a few years later, we're making a website and shit.
Yeah, dude.
So, yeah. Yeah. So like all this kind of like it brings up. I don't know, when we talk about punk rock libertarians, it seems like of course, when you have 100,000 people on your page, you're gonna have people just get pissed off at you for every fucking thing that you say. There's one person pissed.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because, like, we're always getting comments like, oh, this page is going downhill. Fire that administrator, like, to some of my posts. And it's like, yeah, I'm the original admin, It was like, for a couple of years, I was throwing up every link on that Facebook page by myself.
Yeah.
Every day. It was like, and, you're going to act like things have changed. It's like, I mean, I don't think if things have changed, I mean, if anything, they've gotten better. We've gotten more organized.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But
I mean, now that we're publishing our own articles.
Yeah, but as far as like opinions changing, I mean, yeah, I just don't see it. We do have we have agreements worked out with guys from other websites. We have other people posting. We have a Libertarian Future on there, and I would say that sometimes they post some things that I wouldn't necessarily post. But I would also say that, it's kind of like they post libertarian things. They post things that other libertarians, that some libertarians would be into. I think earlier this week they posted something about like Ronald Reagan quoting, Ronald Reagan saying like libertarianism is like the focal point of conservatism or something.
Didn't you say something to the effect like the future, like the Republican Party, or is that someone else?
He might have said something like that, but I mean, Ron Reagan, if you, I can't tell you how many times I've read a quote and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And it's Ronald Reagan. It's like, I don't know if he wrote it all or well, obviously he didn't, but anyways, like, he said some awesome things, but of course, when it came down to what he did, it wasn't very libertarianism, know? But yeah. So, personally, I wouldn't share anything about Ronald Reagan talking about libertarianism because I don't know. I don't really see any reason to emulate the guy. I mean, I'll give him props on like ending the Cold War without putting any troops on the ground.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty cool. But like aside from that, I can't think of too much. I mean, he grew government. Government was much smaller under Carter, so it's
there were tax cuts.
What was that?
The Reagan tax cuts.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember one of my teachers was telling me the week that they went into effect and everyone's paycheck was bigger and they're like, woohoo!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but he was also, very hard on the war on drugs.
Very hard on the war on drugs.
Yeah, totally. He was a total drug warrior, of course. You know, him and Nancy, and you know, the just say no,
Right.
and you know all that stuff. But yeah, and then so yeah, we've got Libertarian Future posting on there, and in turn we get to share stuff with their audience, and then we have people from Free Thought Project posting on our page, and honestly, Free Thought Project, they're one of my favorite websites. Period. Like I couldn't be happier to.
I think you're wearing one of their T-shirts right now.
Yeah, totally. I am. So yeah, they're one of my favorite websites. Period. And you know, a lot of those guys are actually. From what I understand, a lot of those guys are, you know, principled non-voters, you know, just anarchist.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like those guys a lot. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite sites. So, you know, just to everybody out there, you know, I don't really see how PRL has necessarily changed. If anything, you know, we've just gotten stronger, more organized, better.
You also have to take into account the fact that, like, the comments that you read, like, most people are only motivated to comment, A, if they really like something, or if they really hate something. So, I mean, we get tons of comments where people are like, you know, this is awesome, like, sweet article, stuff like that. But, I mean, the ones that you're going to remember are the ones where people are like, this page fucking sucks now. You know, what are they doing over there? You know, that shit.
See, I almost don't see how punk rock libertarians could change, because, like, when you're anchored in the philosophy, you know, like when you respect, you know, the non-aggression principle and property rights, I mean, like, all the other answers kind of fall into place, you know. So it's like, once you kind of like accept that, how could you like change, you know?
Well, I think and some people obviously get pissed when we cover Rand Paul, and it's like, you know, whatever. Rand Paul is you know, he makes headlines a lot. You know, he's something that people talk about. He's something that, you know, probably half of the people on the page, like, dig the guy. If not half, maybe 30% of the people on our page dig the guy.
And, I mean, he is the most libertarian candidate running.
Yeah, I would say so.
He's the most visible guy getting the messages out.
I mean,
he's the most libertarian out of the Republicans and Democrats, yes.
Yeah. I mean, but we don't even know who's running for the Libertarian Party yet. Do
we know some people. We'll talk about that
yeah.
later.
We do know some people now.
So, anyways, we'll talk about that later. So, yeah. So, I mean, you know, there's reason to talk about Rand Paul, you know. You know, do we agree with Rand Paul 100% of the time? No. I mean, but is he undoubtedly the best person in all of Senate?
In all of Senate?
In all of Senate. Can you name a better senator than Rand Paul?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So if anybody else, if anybody else listening can name a more libertarian senator in all the states
what
than
about
Rand
Thomas
Paul.
Massey?
You think he's more? Is he? You think he's more libertarian than Ron Paul?
I don't know that he's more, but I know
Paul.
not than Ron, that's for sure. But
Massey, what's? Do you know what state he's from?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I've heard,
but I see him getting quoted a lot.
He's Senate, not Congress.
Huh?
He's Senate and not Congress.
Yeah, there's some pretty awesome representatives.
Oh, you know what? He might be a congressman.
I think so, man. And I mean, I think Justin Amash is pretty cool too.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
But I mean, you know, there's not a more libertarian person in Republican politics that I'm aware of in Republican politics than Rand Paul.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, he is going to be a talking point. You know, and when we give the guy props when he said some cool shit, I mean,
we were saying, by the way, we were saying Congress instead of House. You meant to say House, right?
House or
the Senate.
You know, Rand Paul is a senator.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I was saying out of all the Senate.
Okay. I'm not sure. All right.
I'm pretty sure Massey's a congressman.
Okay.
So out of all the Senate, you know, I would say that there's no more libertarian than Rand Paul.
Right.
You know, I mean, you know, we don't agree with him all the time, but you know, we're going to talk about him, you know, because he is a relevant topic of conversation if you are talking politics.
Right.
You know, and it's, you know, the stuff that he says. If you look at the Republican debate, like, you know, like, I mean, did you guys watch the Republican debate?
The most recent one?
Yeah.
I did not.
No, I didn't, dude. Sorry.
Massey's a representative, House of Representatives.
Okay.
From Kentucky.
Cool.
Okay.
Wow, same state.
Yeah.
Not a senator, but a representative.
Yes, so I mean, that's pretty badass.
I hope they fist
Kentucky
bump
can
each
get
other.
to like mostly the libertarian dudes.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Yeah. So, anyways, so Matt Kleiss, you didn't watch the debate. You said
I did not.
Yeah. So, anyways, like I was like, I would get on the computer and it was kind of like picking in and out. I watched a lot of it on YouTube, and I would say Rand, if I had to pick like his best moments of the night. One, he was. I mean, this is pretty awesome. He did a great job of calling out Trump, and he referred to Trump as sophomoric. With all of his insults, he's gonna like insult Fiorina's looks, and it's. I mean, who looks more ridiculous than Trump? It's like how can he?
Did you see
serve
that
these
video where
insults?
they put this clip of him making all these like weird faces? Like, I guess at some point,
Oh, it
somebody
was like
asked him a
Mario
question.
like dragging his face around. Did you see that?
No, I haven't seen that
Oh,
one.
God.
That sounds awesome.
It's like, in
No,
Mario
dude.
64, you can like drag Mario's 3D face around. Somebody did that with Trump. It's like he like raises his eyebrows and the
Yeah.
hands pulling his eyebrows up and everything.
No, somebody. That's not the one I saw. Was they put it up? They played that first, and then after that, they played that one clip of Charles Manson in prison.
Oh,
have you ever
doing
seen
like
that where
that-
he's doing like that? All that facial shit. Dude, it's so funny.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you gotta look that shit up, people.
Okay, so like
Anyways.
Rand totally called out Trump, and he also pointed out, he was like, he said Trump's sophomoric. Do we really want him in control of the nuclear arsenal?
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, it was just fucking hilarious, and it was so true. It's basically something. I feel like anytime somebody with half a brain hears Trump speak, I mean, that's one of the things I'm thinking. Like, do you really want this guy with his thumb on the nuke button?
Is that a real thing though?
No, maybe it's just a figure of speech.
There's
I mean,
actually
I know
like a big red button under like a glass case
but
with
I
a
mean, does the-
hinge.
does- But the president can't just authorize a nuclear strike, can they? I mean, it should go through Congress, right? I mean, that's how most wars are supposed to be declared. Of course, the Iraq War.
Well, that
wasn't
hasn't
declared
happened
that way.
since World War II.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's basically, they don't really go about the rules, and I believe once they're in the war, I believe that would be up to the president.
That was the what?
I believe once you're in a war, that would be up to the president.
Okay.
So
So yeah, let's not give that power to Trump.
yeah, so
Or really
that was
anybody for that
that was
matter.
one cool thing that Rand did. I'd say it was really awesome.
Yeah.
If you're a libertarian watching those debates, and if you had to pick a candidate who is most to your leaning, it would be Rand. So that would be the first thing. Second thing he did, he on talking of foreign policy, he said that sometimes intervention makes us less safe.
Right.
And I think that was really cool. Nobody else is saying that. Everybody else is like military boner.
Oh.
And then third thing that I thought was really cool, Rand sparked almost a
blunt.
7-minute discussion. What was that?
You said Rand sparked, and I said a blunt.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much. So Rand sparked pretty much a 7-minute discussion about the war on drugs. And, he called out Jeb for smoking when he was, in college or whatever. And Jeb's like, oh, I'll admit it. Fine. And it's like, and Rand's like, I would say where Rand failed at this debate, like, I like the things that he said and the points that he was making, but I would say, like, he's just not on fire enough, when he's making these points.
Yeah.
I feel like he holds back so he doesn't, like, scare people. But, I don't know. He's got to come out as assertive. You know what I mean? It's when you
at
think
this point, it's
when
like
you think about it, dude. Why do people like Trump? Because
Yeah.
he comes out
Because
as
he's
assertive.
obnoxious and loud.
Exactly. Well, I mean, when
He's
it
very
comes
colorful.
when it comes to the drug war, okay, when it comes to a lot of this shit, Rand Paul's like speaking slow and talking reasonably. Motherfuckers don't want that. Motherfuckers want rock star. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Okay, you look at Obama, rock star. You look at Bernie Sanders, rock star. He's loud and he's turning red. You look at Trump. He's loud. He's turning red. So fucking when Rand
Yeah, we
Paul.
should do this whole podcast just yelling into the microphone.
Well,
Turning red.
okay. I'm not
Probably
saying
get my
the
comb
guy
over
needs
on.
to yell. I'm saying maybe he needs to drink a Red Bull before he goes on stage.
Maybe 3.
I feel like he needs to liven up a little.
Maybe
Four
Four
because
Loko.
He needs a hype man.
and when I'm saying this, dude, when I'm and I mean, dude, like when I'm saying this, I'm saying there's some things that I think he said some awesome things at the debate, but I feel like he could have delivered them better.
That's how I felt about Ron Paul, in 2012. I felt like at times he the message was great, but the delivery kind of sucked. He would get kind of flustered, and get caught up in his words.
Yeah, I mean, he
sometimes,
wasn't the best public speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing with Ron and Rand, actually, I've always thought, first time I saw Rand speak, like I thought, wow, because Ron, loved the guy, but yeah, he wasn't the best public speaker. But with Rand, the first time I saw him speak, I'm like, wow, this guy's a much better speaker than his father, and he wasn't even in politics. Rand is born with, I'd say that talent, but I feel like Rand's problem is I feel like he wants to hold back. I feel like he doesn't want to be the scary libertarian.
But dude, at this point, he's got to
be,
look at his poll numbers and realize, like, unless I do something drastic, like I'm.
He wants to be the calm voice of reason, and it's dude. I've seen him like when he was speaking for his dad, when his dad was running and he wasn't in politics. He was a better speaker. He was getting lively and shit. I mean, I feel like there was. I don't know. I feel like he's just kind of trying to like really step back, and he thinks this is how I'm going to appeal. But no, Rand, you're wrong. When you talk about the war on drugs, I think he brought up some great talking points. But he should have just told Jeb Bush, look, if you would have got caught, well, I mean, he essentially did say, the kids that are like more privileged aren't going to go to jail. It's the poor kids that are going to go to jail.
Right.
But he needs to straight up say, look, if you would have gotten caught, you wouldn't have been governor. You wouldn't be up here running for president. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same thing with Barry. It's basically, but I mean, you can get in people's face about that. And that is that's a great fucking point. I also thought it was funny. It was like Fiorina. Is that how you say her name?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. There are things that I like about her. I think she's a good speaker, but of course I don't agree with all of her everything that she's saying.
What are her positions?
I think she's a little too war happy for me, firstly, and then I also didn't like that. When you're picking from Republicans, she's not somebody that I could ever see myself voting for. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I'm just picking like best of the worst here. You know what I mean? Like I definitely I like her better than Trump. I mean, yeah, I definitely like her better than Trump. Who do you like better, Trump or Rick Santorum?
I don't think I could choose, dude.
I know, dude. It's so hard. It's so hard.
I mean, they're both horrible, and they're
it's so
both
hard to
equally
even talk
horrible
about
in
this,
different
man.
ways.
Yeah, but here's the thing why I would pick Trump over Santorum, right? Because since the dude really doesn't have any allegiances, he's just got money, he can say, like, crazy shit that,
Dude,
somebody
I
who's
guarantee
got...
you he's going to have allegiances, man. He's going to pimp like no politician has ever pimped before. Cause he
No,
knows
but I
that
mean, like,
fucking
at
game.
this point, and earlier in the race and stuff, when he would just, like, say something really just like, what the hell did he just say,
Yeah, I mean, I would choose Trump over Santorum just because Trump is so fucking ridiculous,
I mean, I'd rather be at a party with Trump.
It's like, I mean, dude, I think the politics is ridiculous. I feel like Trump is like, the mother superior of ridiculous,
Oh, he's insane. He's a cartoon character.
Exactly, so would I vote for him? No, but
Hell
I mean,
fucking no.
would I rather see him than Santorum? Yeah, just because he is so ridiculous. It's basically like, if you believe, the political system, it sucks, man. If you believe the problem is the solution, where it'll have to get much worse before it gets better, I think Trump will take us to worse pretty quick, and he'll look ridiculous while doing it. So I think that would help the libertarian agenda. It's basically like, wow, this guy's horrible.
My mic keeps slipping. Hold on.
So what do you guys think about there's a lot of outrage between like Martin O'Malley and Bernie Sanders, and like they're complaining about the DNC because the DNC hasn't had any debates yet.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Yeah, I mean,
I forgot that Martin O'Malley was even running for president.
Oh yeah.
he is.
I mean, all I've seen is Bernie Sanders and Hillary.
He's running and he's still an asshole. So,
Yeah, take it from us. We're in Maryland. That guy's an asshole.
No, but like what's
asshole.
going on now is like both those guys are like, you know, outspoken, complaining, and I believe other people are too, that the DNC they want more debates, and it's like they say that the DNC isn't scheduling many debates because the DNC wants Hillary in, and Hillary's not commenting. She's not begging for more debates. Why would she? She doesn't want to break shit up. You know, she's still the
establishment.
Exactly. Yeah. So
yeah, well, this is what I'm talking about when I say like, well, in one regard, that Bernie Sanders is like the Ron Paul of the Democratic Party because they don't want him. They don't want him to be their candidate because it's not good for the status quo. So yeah, I mean, I hadn't heard about this, but this is not surprising. This is not surprising at all that they would find some sort of like seemingly innocuous way to sabotage, you know, legitimate contenders to Hillary.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. It's just so fucking.
Yeah, now that you mention, I really want to see some Democratic debates.
I kind of like to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see somebody confront Bernie Sanders on his shit and see if he can. I mean, it's really easy when you're.
Well, here's the thing: who's going to confront him?
I don't know. I mean, a good.
That's why I don't care to see a Democratic debate, because there is no Rand Paul of the Democrats to me.
Yeah, I guess
you know,
right.
and Bernie Sanders, you know, for some reason a lot of people are into him, but you know he's pretty bad on war. You know, when it comes down to it, he's still a war hawk, and. You know, who is better? I don't know, man. Maybe we need to see, because I mean, maybe there's who's all running as a Democrat.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Speaking of like, I mean, what's O'Malley's like foreign policy like? I honestly not familiar with it.
I can't imagine it being too great. You know, the guy before marijuana was decriminalized in Maryland, he was threatening to veto it.
Oh, yeah.
It was just at the last minute.
It
was just at the last minute that he decided that, you know, that might look bad for him, that the tides are changing, and maybe I'll sign it over.
Really?
Yeah, totally. It was just at the last minute.
Yeah.
And, you know, this guy was a mayor of Baltimore, and, you know, he always believed in fucking prohibition.
Yeah.
You know, David Simon, the creator of The Wire, he, like, totally rags on O'Malley, you know. And, you know, the main political message of that show was, you know, legalize drugs, was, you know, the drug war is a failure.
Right.
So, so some Democratic debates might be interesting, you know. It's, you know, you might even ask, like, you know, or some people might ask, like, why are we talking about this? And it's like, well, because, you know, basically every 4 years around election time, that's the best time to talk about politics with your friends, you know? So, you know, you can
the
get
politics is closely related to philosophy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is the ultimate goal.
So, like, Matt Clayton brought up, like, an interesting topic. You know, he said, is everybody here going to vote in 2016?
It depends.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I'm kind of seeing if there would be anybody that would be worth, you know.
If Rand Paul by some chance got the nomination, I would be more likely to vote.
But you wouldn't go out for Gary Johnson?
If Gary Johnson's the nominee.
Well, you had to think about it for a second.
Huh?
It seems like you had to think about it for a second.
I did have to think about it.
I'd go out for Johnson. I like Johnson a lot.
I know you like Johnson,
I love
dude.
the Johnson.
You tell me.
I mean, personally, like, I'd go out for Johnson.
No, I mean, I don't have anything against Johnson. That's not why I would hesitate to vote. It would just be taking the principled non-voter stance.
Yeah, which seems quite attractive.
Well, okay, so so let me get this straight. So you would take the principled non-voter stance if Rand Paul doesn't get elected, but then you lose all your principles and vote for Rand Paul if Rand Paul gets the nomination?
I'm saying I'm taking the stance. I'm not a principled non-voter.
Yeah, but
see, I'm pretending to be one.
You're pretending to be one.
No.
Okay, so I mean,
I'm honestly on the fence, you know, because like I see, that voting doesn't seem to get us anywhere, but it's been called the slave suggestion box.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Ron Paul introduced these ideas to a lot of people through the political system.
Yeah.
If you get
yeah, I mean, he made a lot of anarchists
and
made a lot of non-principled voters.
Yeah, and Johnson got more people than ever the last time around.
But I mean, voting for somebody. I mean, you can still support somebody and not vote for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and somebody can run and use the mechanisms to get the message out there without necessarily the ultimate goal being garnering votes.
Okay, so what do you think? What do you think not voting?
The only reason I would hold on. Let me just say this. The only reason I would maybe vote for Rand Paul would be because that he would have a legitimate chance of getting into the office. Whereas a vote for Gary Johnson, I'm not going to say it's a wasted vote, but it's likely not going to get him into office.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. It never will with the libertarian. Okay,
that's what I'm saying, though.
But you don't like to see third parties try to run.
I do like to see them try to run.
Oh, you do? Okay, so I mean, if Johnson's going to go through all the effort to run,
but I'd rather see no parties.
If Johnson's going to go through all the effort to run,
Yeah.
And he said some cool shit. Last time he fucking went stage diving. He's a fucking awesome dude. And he will get some airtime. If he's going to go through all that trouble, you can't take an hour of your day to go vote for him?
You got me.
No. I mean, honestly, I mean, it's something to talk about, dude.
Yeah, but then by voting, then you're complicit in the system, man.
Yada, yada, my vagina. But,
that's what I was thinking. But I was like, I know.
Yeah, I remember reading a while ago. There was some place where it was some ridiculously low number, like 11% of the people turned out to vote. And then okay, so just pretend for a second in that place. The other 89% of the people are principled non-voters. Well, guess what? The other 11% of the people are determining how everybody. 11% are determining the rules that everybody has to live by.
Mm-hmm. As long as those 89% keep tolerating it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You can't just be a principal non-voter and then not do anything else.
Well, I guess maybe you're saying that there's a difference between a non-voter and a principled non-voter.
Yeah, well, I only use that term because you used it earlier.
Yeah, no, I mean, and there is
sounds a little pretentious, though.
Well, there's totally a difference. You could say a non-voter, could be, what's the word I'm looking for? Apathetic.
Yeah.
Could be apathetic, or they could be principled.
I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm saying the majority of non-voters are probably more of the apathetic variety.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of people like to do the soul searching necessary to take a concrete position.
Well, maybe they're principled in that they understand that nothing's going to. Maybe it's kind of principled.
I mean,
that's like a de facto kind of thing, man. I don't know. It's not like they arrived at that conclusion through a philosophical journey.
Right.
I
mean, principled or non-principled, I think people. Is it unprincipled to just realize voting hasn't really done anything to improve things? I'm just not going to vote. Is that? Are you a principled non-voter? What?
You don't think voting's done anything to improve things?
Well, no, I don't think voting for a president necessarily has. I mean, I think voting for marijuana legalization has, and voting for. Why is that funny? And voting for gay marriage before it was legalized nationally, I think that was a positive thing that came about. But
I mean,
I'm talking.
I don't know. I think people. Okay, say if all Ron Paul, how many times did he get elected to Congress? What if all the people that voted for him decided voting doesn't do any good, so he never got elected. He never got to do the no vote. He never got to make all those speeches. He never got to gain enough notoriety to run for president in 2008.
And that goes back to my point earlier, which is if I know somebody actually has a chance of getting into that position, I'm more likely to vote for them.
Yeah, so say if Rand Paul gets the nomination, say Rand Paul gets the nomination and Gary Johnson's still running, where do you put your vote? What's going to be more effective? Are you going to vote for the guy who more philosophically aligns with you, or are you going to vote for the guy who's more likely to get in?
That's a good question.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you have to look at it.
No, totally, dude. I've thought about that a bunch. Would I vote for Rand Paul or Johnson? And if both of them were running, like if Rand Paul got the GOP nomination, would I still vote for him over Johnson? And my answer to that is if honestly, like, I live in a state where, you know, there's no way in fuck a Republican's gonna win. You know, and we all do. So I would still go out and vote for Johnson.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point.
It's I mean Maryland's a red state, you know.
Let's say that the Democrats
Maryland's
pick like a
blue
really,
state.
really awful.
Correction,
sorry,
Maryland's blue state.
yeah, blue state. That's what I meant. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Now, say
Yeah.
the Democrats pick a really, really awful candidate that's actually ends up being kind of unpopular, and it looks like Rand Paul might even in Maryland, his message is resonating with people. Then what do you do?
Matt's trying to get you. He's
Yeah.
trying to pin you down, dude.
And yeah, I mean it's like and because I even wanted to say before I said Maryland's a blue state, you know, if things were projected, you know, actually, you know, fuck it, I think I'd still vote for Gary Johnson because ultimately I believe one vote doesn't count. I don't think Rand's gonna. Plus, I don't know till I'm in that position, but honestly, I don't think my one vote's gonna count. You know, I want to go out and vote just to go out and vote. You know, just to vote for somebody that I like because they're taking the time to run.
You're like, thank you for getting up there. I'm gonna give you this empty vote. That's not gonna change anything.
Yeah, but if everyone has that attitude that one vote doesn't count, then that's going to result in like the votes not going where they would be most opportunistic. If you get,
I mean, so basically, what you're asking is it? I mean, and then, like, is it? I don't know. Am I voting for a lesser of two evils between Rand Paul and you know, whoever the Democratic candidate are? If both of them get the you know, whoever gets the nomination, you know, would I feel like I'm voting for a lesser of two evils?
The lesser of two evils is still evil.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
do
know.
you think Rand Paul is evil?
essentially, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's
what I'm asking. Do I think he's evil? No, I don't. I don't think he's as cool as Johnson. It's, you know, ultimately, it's like, you know, romantically, you know, I'm an anarchist. So, you know, I think, you know, any politician is a little evil.
yes.
You know what I mean? And I mean, granted, that's just my wet dream, you know, that's just, but,
Well, see, I'm looking at it from like there's different ways you can look at it, from like the principled aspect or just the pragmatic aspect. And you can look at it pragmatically and say, look, maybe Rand Paul isn't Ron Paul, but let's get him into the presidency, because if he gets into the presidency and nothing changes, then we know for sure, almost for sure, short of it being Ron Paul in there, that it's impossible, that it's just the fucking machine, which is, you know, my theory, or not just my theory, but the one I think is correct, that it doesn't matter who's in power, really. I mean, you'll see little things change, but the machine continues to grow, and it continues to destroy. And, you know, I would like to see Rand Paul become president, just so we can see if maybe that's not true. Maybe if you get the right person in there, some good can happen.
But then that sucks, because then you got to rely on the right person. You got to find another right person 4 or 8 years from now.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, the whole thing just stinks.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I just think it'd be an interesting experiment. But,
yeah, so, I mean, what would you do? Would you vote for Rand or Gary? Or I mean, did you take anything from what I'm saying? Like, do you get why I'm saying what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
See, I mean, for me, it would kind of be hard to choose, because, I mean, ultimately, you know, I don't like the idea of anybody, you know, being in charge.
Right.
You know, anybody having that much power. But at the same time, you know, it's, you know, Frodo was the best person to, you know, hold the ring. If somebody's going to have the ring, if somebody can be trusted to throw the ring, you know,
into Mount
Doom,
Doom,
to destroy the ring, you know, so, yeah. What's next on the agenda?
Well, did you want to talk about your mini house that you're building?
my tiny house.
Your tiny house.
Matt Clace is going to build a tiny house.
Yeah,
Tell us
yeah.
about it, bro.
My fiance and I are saving up money, and we're going to build a tiny house, because we want to have our own, you know, own our own mortgage-free dwelling. You know, it's been said that when you live in a tiny house, the entire world is your living room. And so I don't know. I feel like it's very attractive from like an economic standpoint. You know, I don't want to get tied down with a mortgage. You know, I already have student loan debt. You know, and then like from an ethical standpoint, I think when you consider how tiny houses are a little more environmentally friendly, you know, you're using fewer materials and they're a lot more energy efficient. So, you know, I don't know. I think they're kind of like a libertarian thing.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I think tiny houses are really fucking cool. Unfortunately, like, I have too much stuff for a tiny house.
Yeah, see, why I'm like paring down, you know, on my earthly possessions, you know, finding out what I actually use. I mean, you'd be surprised, like, what stuff you just don't use. You hold on to, you think you need it. You know, a lot of people have sentimental attachments to stuff, and I'm very sentimental. You know, I hold on to, like, all these, like, Christmas cards and birthday cards and, like, little wrappers and stuff. Like, if I go on a vacation, I try a candy bar I've never had before. I mean, that's my tendency. I'm trying to fight that, and I've gotten a lot better at it.
See, I'm like the opposite, man. Like, I almost never buy souvenirs. Usually I just buy a fucking shot glass.
It's because you're a damn cold Jew.
Yeah. I'm also very cheap.
What? That's what he's...
I don't know, but it does spring from that whole, like, anti-materialistic idea.
Yeah, and I think the anti-materialistic aspects of living in a tiny house are very attractive. You know, I think it really
just made
gets
me think of like my favorite line in Fight Club, where he says, you know, the things you own end up owning you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, that's another thing, man. You know, you go on tiny house forums or whatever, and it's kind of a common theme. People move into these houses because they have a house, right? Say like a 2,000 square foot house that costs them $100,000. So what they're paying, say, you know, $1,500, $2,000 a month, you know, for this mortgage. So they are constantly at work to be able to afford this house. So like you're working all the time to pay for this house that you don't have the time to be in to enjoy. And it's like, what's the point?
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Like, wouldn't it be great to like be able to afford to live like on a part-time minimum wage job? I mean, I don't know if that's completely possible, but it's more likely in a tiny house.
No, yeah, dude. Like, I'm not somebody personally who rags on tiny houses. Tiny houses. And you know, like, I really dig Fight Club, and one of the reasons I really dig it is because of that line. You know.
Yeah, dude.
And you know,
fucking love that movie.
You know, like I can catch myself getting that way with possessions. Like, I'm into owning things. Like, I have a huge record collection, but you know, I listen to it every day.
Well, that's the thing, man, because I'm a collector too, so it's kind of interesting trying to reconcile my collecting desires.
Kick that dirty habit.
But I don't know that like, if we're talking about just materialism, I don't know that like collections per se fall under that. I mean, to an extent they do. They
take up space, and in a tiny house, you can't waste any space. And you know, everything in its place for everything, kind of. You know, so if you've got a whole bunch of like Star Wars toys, like I do, it's not gonna fly. You know,
Star Wars toys, is that like code for vibrators?
You know, it's my X-wing here, dude.
I'm just messing with you, dude. That's awesome.
No, so there's like stuff I gotta pare down, and you know, it's kind of tough, but it's also fun. You know, like when you drop off a couple of boxes at Goodwill of stuff that you don't need. You know, and you're like, wow, I don't have to worry about that anymore. And somebody else is probably going to enjoy that more than I am.
Yeah.
You know?
And you get to write it off.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, like I just did a move, and it's basically like when you're packing up all your shit to move, you know, there's definitely a lot of stuff where it's like, wow, I haven't used this in a while.
Well, I've moved a couple of times in the last few years. Ever since I graduated college, I think I've moved like 3 or 4 times. And I've got boxes still packed up from that first move, you know? And, it's like, man, I haven't used this in 4 years. I probably don't need it, you know. It makes the decision.
I think every time I moved, I pretty much pared down, you know. Because, I just look at something and be like, do I really need this? You know, is this really, how often am I going to use this? Is this going to give me any joy at all? Or is it just something that, like, somebody bought me, or it's somewhat sentimental, but I'm probably never going to look at it, so I won't even experience the sentimentality of it.
I don't know how many like large T-shirts I have in my closet. that were
Oh,
gifts
yeah.
that I just couldn't bring myself to get rid of. I'm like, I don't understand why people buy me a large. Okay, just to let everybody know, I'm
Same,
like
dude.
5'6", 120 pounds. Like, I wear a small, medium if I need like room, And
Yeah.
my family, friends always give me large. It's like, dude,
What do I look like, dude?
seriously.
No, maybe
I don't
they're
even
just
like
like
any mediums. To be
maybe
honest with you.
the in the '90s everybody would wear like really large T-shirts,
I had
larger
Jinkos.
than they needed. Yeah, well, I didn't have Jinkos. Okay, was this a coming out party? So, no, but I mean, in the
I have
90s,
no guilty pleasures, man.
But in the '90s, you probably wore large T-shirts, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean,
but like
it's
a
fine.
medium was baggy on me
Maybe these
in the
people are-
90s.
Yeah, maybe these people are just a little, a little behind the times.
20 years behind the times.
Yeah, it happens, dude.
Can you believe that, man? Like, classic rock radio stations are playing like grunge music.
Really?
Yeah. But I mean, think about it. Like in the 90s, music from the 70s was considered classic rock,
Yeah.
and that was 20 years prior. 20
Totally.
See,
years
I always
ago.
wondered when that shit was gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
when are you gonna start hearing like Led Zeppelin on oldies stations?
Ooh, yeah.
That's gonna be creepy as shit, dude.
Well, actually, I noticed a few years ago that there weren't as many oldie stations.
Yeah, I think oldies is
Really?
like a dying breed, man. Are there any oldie stations in Maryland? Not to my knowledge.
Yeah. What
Maybe
about,
like some AM radio crap.
Oh yeah. What about the Bay? Or I guess that's
No,
classic
that's
rock.
classic rock, and
Yeah.
they're playing grunge stuff, man. I
Really?
heard Pearl Jam on the Bay the other day.
Wow.
That's like my favorite station.
So oldies is dying off. Well, that's good.
I don't know that it is good.
I don't
I've
know.
always dug oldies.
There's some oldies that's
especially
good.
like 50s rock and roll.
I just remember hating it when I was like a little kid.
Yeah.
But
Man, like all those songs, like they top off at like 2 minutes and 40 seconds. It's like a sin to go over that.
what the oldies?
Like
songs?
oldies music.
dude,
Man.
that's
It's
one of
like
the things I
short
love about
and
oldies.
sweet.
Short songs.
Short songs for short people.
Yeah.
I guess. So yeah, one of these big stories on the news lately has been about this this kid named Ahmed who brought a clock to school and then was
That
later
he built, right?
yes, a clock that he had constructed, and he brought it into school and was arrested because they thought it was a bomb. Now, there's a lot of different spins going on with the story, and after that, Obama invited him to the White House. A bunch of companies, I think Microsoft gave him a whole bunch of shit, like a new Surface tablet, laptops, all sorts of shit. It was like a pile of stuff. Some news report came out that a Bitcoin exec is offering him $250,000 scholarship. So, I mean, that's all cool, and, it's basically just sending a message like that what happened to you was
fuck the nanny state, basically.
What's that?
Fuck the nanny
fuck
state.
the nanny state, and, we want to encourage people that are going out and creating things like this. Like young kids that are out and they're experimenting with electronics and
Was it a clock of his own design? Do you know, or is it like a kit?
well, no, I mean, if you look at the thing,
I haven't
Like-
seen it.
like, not to defend the people, because there are people who are like, well, they were right because this thing looks like a bomb. I mean, it looks a little sketchy. It's like in a suitcase. It's in like what looks like a suitcase,
Like a briefcase.
and it's like got a whole bunch of wires coming out. Now it also has like an extension cord, which like how many bombs have extension cords?
Hey, did you
Hold on a
see,
second. Let me just. Like, do you have an outlet around here?
hey, did you see that like cartoon that was going around where it's basically like, like the kid gets arrested and then the president's like, oh, Ahmad, come to the White House, and then like Ahmad's on his cell phone. He's like, Haji, I'm in.
No,
It's like- it's so funny.
no, but then I did see the meme where it was like, or it wasn't a meme, it was like a tweet, and it was like replying because the president tweeted, he was like, Ahmed, I like your clock. You should come show me at the White House, like from the official account.
Yeah.
And then someone was like, Barack, if this kid had been living in Yemen, you would have been sending Hellfire missiles at him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
totally.
put that up on the PRL because I mean it's true. I mean, he just is lucky enough to be a Muslim in America and not a Muslim in Yemen.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, you don't get to choose where you're born. You don't choose what religion you're born into, what culture you're born into.
yeah.
Yeah, it's about time for Americans to start treating every life as sacred.
Yeah.
But once again, I think people are focusing more on racism isn't really the right term. I guess Islamophobia of it than they are on like the nanny state aspect of it.
Well, some people are, some people aren't.
Yeah.
I think conservatives and libertarians are focusing more on the nanny state.
Yeah.
What boggles my mind?
Are conservatives even saying anything about it?
I mean, what is a conservative? I mean, I've seen people saying like, oh, that looked like a bomb. Would you want him bringing that to your school?
I mean, I've seen
shit like that.
I've seen like conservative-leaning libertarians. You know what I mean? Those people that are like,
like libertarian-leaning conservatives.
Yeah, or vice versa. You know what I mean?
Not neocons, not.
Yeah, exactly.
Republicans.
Cooler people.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, I've seen people, who, when they're trying to defend it, like a better safe than sorry kind of thing, is like their approach, better like to...
Yeah, see something, say something, right?
Yeah, it's just like, is that the world you want to live in, man?
Yeah.
Yes, statist advocates.
Yeah.
The question is, though, that I guess, like, the left people are bringing up is, like, would this have happened if he was white?
Yeah. And this happened in Texas, right?
Yes, it was in Texas.
Yeah, so Texas.
Well, I mean, stuff like this has happened to like kids of all colors. You're gonna. I mean,
yeah, kids that have like things like they bring in toy guns or even like something. Some kid had like I read a story. Some kid had like cut his food to look like a gun and got like expelled for that or arrested.
yeah,
or
I mean,
like
or even the fucking penis selfies where the kid's getting charged as an adult for child pornography, even though it's his own penis. So if he's being charged as an adult for child pornography, but it's his own penis, if he's being charged as an adult,
he's an adult and a kid at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's what the fuck. It's so crazy. It's just like anybody that they can throw in the judicial system, just throw the book at them,
It seems like they're almost just preying on.
It's fucking insane.
Children at this
Just
point.
ruined this kid's life because he sent a dick selfie to like his, girlfriend who was like a year younger than him. Yeah, I think the kid was like 16. It's just fucking crazy.
Yeah, did you hear about that, Matt?
No, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, you hear that shit all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's just more and more crazy shit every day. Totally.
Yeah.
But what it kind of reminded me of. Remember, a few years ago. When the Adult Swim put up the Moon and Night LED things and they shut down Boston because they thought it was a bomb.
Oh, yeah, dude.
It looked like a bomb. It looked like a freaking light bright of like a little, Atari sprite flipping somebody off.
Yeah.
That's what bombs look like.
Yeah, I remember that, dude. Was that like right after 9/11 too?
I mean, it was after I moved to Maryland, and I moved
really?
here in like 2005, so it was sometime between 2005 and now.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember that though. That was pretty hilarious.
I mean, people getting their panties in a twist about
Great
that. It looked like a bomb.
Great PR for Adult Swim though.
Oh yeah. Oh, I think people got fired though, or people had to resign or something.
Oh really?
Yeah, it kind of backfired, but
that sucks. Oh well, what can you do? All right. Did you guys hear about Ronda Rousey and what she said about a recent little fiasco over at the UFC?
Yeah. I did.
No, please fill me in.
Okay.
Enlighten me.
So yeah. So this
Fill me in, Jared.
So this fighter in the UFC named Nick Diaz, he recently got suspended for 5 years by the Nevada Gaming Commission, which they basically run all the gaming, all like the casinos, all the fights, all the sports that go on in Vegas, which happens to be where like most of the UFC fights take place, at least in this country. Occasionally, I think they'll have some at like Madison Square Garden, but most of their fights are in Vegas. And so they banned this guy, Nick Diaz, who was like one of the top fighters, for 5 years.
That's like
for
a
testing
career.
positive. Yeah, it's a career for a fighter. For testing positive for marijuana. Now,
What the hell?
Now, it was so like he so the UFC has their own testing, right? They actually have the guy who like went after the baseball players for steroids, the guy who went after the Lance Armstrong, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily just
Like
for
a
steroids.
prosecutor?
The guy's in it. I think the guy's a huge piece of shit because he's like a big drug warrior guy, but he was like an ex-IRS agent.
Okay.
That was working.
That explains everything.
Yeah, and but this guy, he's really just looking out for steroids, right? Which I mean is understandable in a sport like UFC where it's all physical contact, physical combat.
Well, yeah, pretty much any sport. I mean, because
but I mean, this is more like it's more dangerous for like a fighter to be on steroids than it is for like a baseball player to be on steroids.
Well, I mean,
like more dangerous for the fighter himself or for other fighters?
No, for the other fighter that he's fighting against.
Okay, because he gonna like rage out or something and like kick his ass like too bad.
I mean, there's a physical advantage to being on steroids and being in a fight that is beyond what
you would be capable of.
What would be fair?
Yeah. Okay.
And what would be safe?
I mean,
at least this is what
every physical sport.
What's that?
Every physical sport wouldn't it be there be an advantage for football and baseball and basketball?
I mean, are you saying like when you're on steroids, you can like summon like more energy or something?
Shit out of somebody. I mean, it's part of football. Yes, football's a very high contact sport, but the point isn't to knock somebody out or strangle somebody or submit somebody. I mean, yes, I mean you can surely make an argument that there probably shouldn't be steroids in football. But the point that I'm trying to get at is... So this guy administered 2 tests. He passed both those tests, and then the Nevada Gaming Commission had their own test, I believe. And he failed because they found, like, metabolites. So, like, very small... Like, basically, he probably hadn't smoked maybe for, like, a few weeks, I think. So, like, it wasn't like that, like he had smoked like during the fight or even right before the fight.
Yeah, as if that's going to make him a better fighter anyway.
Yeah,
like, seriously.
That's the whole thing is like this is
like
not,
Michael Phelps.
This is not trying to make the sport clean, which is like I understand going after steroids. That makes sense. But going after...
something that's not going to enhance your performance.
Yeah,
whatsoever.
Something that is completely, and it's totally a political move.
It's like fucking going after Tylenol.
And also keep in mind, this is a state agency.
Sure.
I mean, that's not surprising, right? So it's a completely political move. It has nothing to do with protecting anybody, keeping anybody safe. So the Ronda Rousey aspect is she went out and basically, like, during a press conference, like towards the end, she was like, "No one's really asked me this question, but I'm just going to talk about it. This is fucking." Well, she didn't say these words, but she was basically like, "This is bullshit. This is completely political. Marijuana is not a performance-enhancing drug." And Ronda Rousey, if you guys all know who she is, she's like the top female fighter and possibly the top, at least the most popular and most successful MMA fighter currently fighting. So the fact that she came out and was like, "This is totally bullshit," whatever he does in his own time is up to him. Which is all stuff that we know is obvious, but it's nice to hear someone like her who's like on a massive stage saying something like this.
No doubt.
So hopefully, and it's possible this could get overturned, which I'm thinking it will be with the amount of outrage about it.
Well, I mean, you remember when Michael Phelps got busted for smoking pot? And they were, that's what this reminds me of.
Did they force him to like?
I was just pissed that he apologized for it. Like, I mean,
Michael Phelps.
Yeah, I was pissed that he apologized. He's like, "Yeah, it was a mistake." Blah blah blah. It was only a mistake because you got caught. I mean, it's like you still won a fucking bunch of gold medals. So did it really hurt anything? It's like.
Didn't he also get busted for drunk driving too?
Well, I don't know about that.
What was that after his life was ruined by the marijuana scandal?
Yes, see, well, I mean...
But it's like they don't make a big deal out of that.
Exactly, there's not as big of a deal being made. And then it's like Fiorina at the debates. She was saying something about, like, about basically pot being worse than alcohol. Like, I forget exactly how she worded it. But, I mean, it's just totally false. Pot is not worse than alcohol.
It's not. Trust me, I'm on both right now, and I'm doing just fine. I'm doing just fine.
Me too, bro.
I can't see.
So speaking of marijuana, apparently Colorado has made more revenue from marijuana, tax revenue, than they have from alcohol.
It's funny too because like anytime I post something like this on like punk rock libertarians, like I think I posted about this actually a few days ago, and somebody was like, it's so funny to see libertarians celebrating tax revenue, and it's like
Oh yeah, I saw that.
it's
Assholes.
like, dude,
I know exactly.
It's
what you're
not the
talking
tax revenue; it's what it's indicative of.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like this. I think it's like the only way you're going to get it legal is to be like, hey, status, you can tax it. You know what I mean? It's basically like, or it is a great aid in getting it legal. It's probably the only way that it is going to be legal. Yes, it sucks. Sin taxes suck.
Right.
Sin taxes on alcohol suck. The whiskey rebellion, was cool that people rebelled, but that, 25% on tax on alcohol imposed by the founders sucked.
Right.
Sin taxes totally fucking suck. But at the same time, it's better than the drug war.
Yeah. No, I mean I agree. Like, yeah, is it the most ideal situation? Of course not.
Yeah, when you're a libertarian, no. But
No.
when you're a libertarian, but when you're somebody else,
But I'd rather,
perhaps.
I'd rather see the state collecting money from people.
Well, actually, I've said a number of times that I would rather see my money go to a drug cartel than the federal government. Because I mean, dude, the federal government. It's just
drug cartels are pretty heinous.
Yeah, well, a drug cartel is a violent institution, but the federal government is a violent monopoly, and the monopoly scares me more than
Yes.
the drug cartel, essentially.
But on the other side, I would also rather see. I'd rather pay more taxes and have less people in jail.
Oh yeah,
and have less lives being ruined, and have less crime and less poverty, and less all the things that
totally.
I think are the result.
I agree.
So.
And it seems like the only way you're going to get it passed in this day and age is having those fucking sin taxes on it and be saying like, oh, this is all the revenue that we'll collect.
Right.
It seems like the
I mean,
only
if
way
anything-
you're going to convince these
The cool thing about
politicians-
Colorado, though, is like they have a law where if they make over a certain amount, they have to return it to the citizens.
Well,
And so that actually went into effect, and they like citizens were getting rebate checks.
Nice. I didn't know that.
I don't know if it was all of Colorado or a specific city in
yeah,
Colorado.
but I mean, it's kind of
Might have
fucked up
been,
though
like,
because
Denver, I don't know.
citizens are getting rebate checks, courtesy of marijuana smokers.
Yeah, no, I mean that's.
I mean, it is taking from some people and giving to
No,
another
I'm not
person.
saying that it's a good
And
thing.
it's
I'm
like,
just-
dude, if somebody's buying herb and smoking it on their couch or wherever, like on the fucking corner, who gives a shit? It's a fucking plant. Fuck off, suck my dick. It's like
Well
like it's pretty unfair, So it is something that I'd say the proper libertarian position is fuck, don't tax it. It's a fucking plant. Yeah, I mean,
And then the DIY position is just grow your own.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. That's cool, man. I mean, it's basically like.
Well, yeah, but you can do that legally too now in Colorado, right?
I think it's like a certain number of plants, maybe.
Yeah, but it's like enough where you'd have enough for like you.
For yourself, yeah.
Word.
Unless you're like a fucking super pothead. All right. Oh, so we were kind of on the topic of like syntaxes. So apparently
Syntaxes, like in your brain.
No, those are synapses, dude.
Oh, synapses. Oh my shit.
Syntax is like the way you just fucked up syntax, the way you speak.
Hey, bro.
Oh,
Hey, John, you got
that's
a beer?
very that's kind of meta.
John, you got a beer?
Yeah, let me also get a beer.
Yeah. Props to my brother for doling out the beer. It looks like this is the last one, dude.
Oh, you guys are
Shit,
gonna have to
dude.
fight.
I called it, bro. So yeah, props to my brother for passing out the beer. He's chilling out with us tonight.
Yeah, man.
And,
He's got the natty lights flowing.
Beer
dude.
man.
So yeah, so in Alabama, they recently passed a measure to tax porn. So they're taxing the purchases of porn and what they call it, entrance fees. So I guess they have like those porn
Wait,
theaters there.
entrance fees?
Yeah, so if you like, how they have those like
For
porn-
like, is that for a porn theater or like for
Or is
prostitutes?
that for the penis enter or the JJ or?
I don't think
what does that mean?
prostitution's legal there, so I'm going with the porn theater.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's just another example of what they call sin taxes, which are just an excuse for more taxes. It's like that's a very Alabama. It's like the Bible Belt area.
It's
right?
legislating morality.
Yeah.
You know.
So I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's some people that are like, yeah, this will help make our society more moral. But then I think some people are like, well, we can get away with this because of all these crazy like right-wing radical Christians here. You know.
You know what? To me, it's a tax on the stupid because who's paying for porn?
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always go like, have you ever seen?
Have you guys? Jared, you're a Jew. Have you ever paid for porn?
I don't believe so. No, I don't think so.
Never. So would you say Jared Schneiderman would not pay for porn?
Nope.
Cool.
But it doesn't ever blow your mind when you pass like, you ever been like on a long trip, and you're out in the middle of nowhere and you see like a giant like porn store, like off the side of the highway. Have you ever
It's like
seen that?
adult superstore
Yeah,
with
adult
like the
superstore.
big like marquee and
I'm just
everything.
like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess if you're out in the
Are
middle
there
of nowhere,
multiple ones, or have we just driven past the same one?
maybe, dude. I don't know.
It's probably.
Where have you been recently?
I don't know. I feel like I saw one of those like coming back from like Ohio or something,
Yeah, no, I remember seeing one on the way back from Indiana.
or maybe it was
With
like.
my f- with
Bumfuck
my
I've
friends.
definitely
Yeah,
seen them.
out
I've
there.
driven across the country, a couple of times, and yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And like you
They're
go
out
in there and it's like fully stocked.
Oh, you've actually gone in
so
one?
You went
Yeah.
in, dude?
well, here's the thing. Like, so like my fraternity would go. Like we'd make.
Oh, your fraternity. Okay, yeah.
We'd make an
Sorry,
homage
dude.
to like the place where it was founded.
Dude, first year people killed Christ. Now this.
Yeah. So like we always stop by. What? What?
I said first year people killed Christ. Now this.
Okay.
It was just a joke, bro.
I got you. So anyways, yeah, we went in there, just to fuck around or whatever. But I just like couldn't believe that this place was fully stocked. Fully stocked with porn DVDs, porn magazines.
You know what?
Now, the
That
sex
came
toys,
that
I
came from the
understand.
warehouse that was even bigger and more fully stocked.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, where's the
Now, I
porn
understand, like,
warehouse?
maybe they're just staying afloat on like sex toys because they had a lot of those there. Maybe there's not a lot
Did
of.
they have
like,
used
pocket vaginas.
DVDs?
Used DVDs. The dollar bin at the porn store. Porn store.
These were stuck together. Does this just count as one?
Oh, dude. Yeah, I don't know. Who the fuck would pay for porn though?
Yeah, that's what
I mean,
I'm
there's
saying,
so much free
man.
shit. I guess if you get really into like one porn star, and you like run through all the free available vids.
Yeah,
you're, like, afraid of
I gotta
paying
say, I've been there once before. So,
Yeah.
it's just once that I paid for porn. I don't think, like all the magazines I had when I was a kid, like pre-internet, were given to me by friends who got them from their fathers or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it was like their hand-me-downs, and luckily there was no.
The
sticky
only time
pages.
I've even contemplated doing that, I was like, I don't want this on my credit card statement. If I wanted to do this, I'd have to like go get a prepaid Visa, and that's just too much effort.
Can you use PayPal now? I'm sure you can.
That's on your PayPal statement, man. Ugh.
Who's looking at your PayPal statement?
Dude, NSA, come on.
So what? They're probably looking at what you're fucking browsing on your.
Oh, well, of course. I mean,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So,
So, all right. This is unrelated, but it's another topic. One of our favorite people on this podcast is running for president for the Libertarian Party.
wait. Christopher Cantwell?
Yeah. No, dude. Try again.
wait,
Okay.
Carl Hess has come back from the dead?
It's like, yeah, Christopher Cantwell is not our favorite. That was just a joke. But Carl Hess he's one of my favorite. He's one of your favorite, Matt Clay?
Dude, I love Carl Hess.
Fuck yeah, dude. Give me some bro pounds.
Dude, they
Hells
just touched
yeah, dude.
boners.
Yeah.
It was pretty
Just
weird.
touch tips.
Carl
We
Hess is
docked.
the best. That would be amazing, but no. Jared?
It is Austin Peterson.
Austin fucking Peterson. Dude, Austin Peterson is such a D-bag.
Please
know-
tell me more about this Austin Peterson.
You're not familiar?
No, I know. Libertarian Republic.
Yeah, Libertarian Republic, clickbait for all, I think that's his motto. It's like for me it's the most horrible liberty website. It's just because it's basically, it's clickbait. It's like, whoa, this could be interesting, and then you get there and there's like all these ads like
like
flying across the
BuzzFeed.
flying across the screen really quick, so you'll accidentally click on them and they'll get paid, and Austin Peterson's pockets will be lined.
Dude, I showed you that picture of his like campaign logo or whatever. It's like a picture of a like I don't know, like a rifle of some kind.
Was it like an AK or something? No, it wasn't an AK.
I think it was like M16 or something.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it was M16. It was like a picture of an M16. Man, I should fucking bring this up. But it was like a picture of M16
That might
and like
take a while.
his name. What?
I said that might take a while to bring it up.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's.
But anyway,
people
so it's
can't
like,
see it anyway since we're doing podcast.
but I could describe it to them.
Use your
I think we got it.
Yeah, okay, it was a picture of like an M16, and then like the worst part was like it has his name, and like the S is a money sign. Like
It
what?
just makes you think, is this
Are
dude
these
like
for a
some like
rap album?
establishment patsy that's just been installed to like discredit
No,
libertarianism?
he's like an objectivist, Patsy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even surprised that he would run on like the libertarian ticket. Like, I would imagine if he's going to do more politics eventually. I'm calling this right now. He's going to try to run as a Republican eventually.
You think so?
I think so. And dude, honestly, I don't think there are libertarians that like him, but I don't think it's. I hope it's not that many. I don't know. I don't know, man. I just think the guy's always been a douche. I don't know, man.
I don't know. I to be honest, when I first was exposed to Austin Peterson, I kind of liked him. I was like, oh, this guy's cool,
Yeah, I
and he's
remember
kind of
you
got a
actually
mouth, and like,
I remember you actually told me about him,
yeah.
and like I
Did
liked
you
his
hear him on the-
Facebook page.
Did you hear him on the Tom Woods show?
Yeah, I don't remember how I first actually encountered him, but I remember I initially liked him, and then the more I got to know him, I'm like, this dude's douchey.
Yeah. Well, what really got me was, like, I did like some of the shit he was posting, but then he just started going off on like how ANCAPs were stupid and
Yeah, that's what I did when he lost me, when he started like,
yeah,
just like
and,
insulting
and it wasn't even that
anarchists.
he was like, yeah, he was insulting anarchists. He was like, it wasn't like he was proposing actual questions.
No,
He would just create these
just stirring up shit.
If you listen to the Tom Woods thing, they're talking back and forth, and he's talking about, he's talking about how like the non-aggression principle, like can't work, and he uses like this ridiculous example of like you take somebody up in a balloon, right? So like, let's say you take someone up in a balloon, and then you get 1,000 feet in the air. And you decide that you don't want them on your property anymore. Do you have the right to push them out of the balloon? And like Tom Woods was like, I mean, you couldn't see his face because it was all audio, but you could tell he was probably just
like flabbergasted.
Like, did you really just say that?
Yeah, he's basically playing a statist advocate the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell like he didn't want to be.
That's
there.
such like a libtard argument.
You can tell he believes in the mythological powers of government.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's just a
And
straight
unicorns.
Randian. I think that's what it is.
He's just a what?
A Randian, objectivist Randian.
Yeah,
but
sure,
I
word.
don't know if they would advocate. A Randian would advocate so much. I don't know, government.
Well, they were minarchists. Like she didn't believe in anarchy.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's some of the stuff he says, lines up with like what we would agree with, what we would believe, but then you get into this anti-ANCAP stuff, and it's like, come on, dude, get with the picture.
Word.
He hasn't done the necessary ethical soul searching.
No, and I think the guy's also, I mean, he's just kind of a shyster. He's just interested in like.
No,
Is that a
yeah,
Yiddish
totally.
word?
With his
Is that a
website,
Yiddish word,
Libertarian
Jared?
Clickhole, yeah, he is totally a shyster, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's all clickbaity. Like, I mean, yeah, we have ads on our website.
I mean, it's one thing to have ads. It's one thing to have one of those websites where it's like 10 ways, and it's like click to this page, click to this page, click to this page.
Yeah,
and it's like accidentally click on this ad. Oh, we got paid. I don't know, man. It's just pretty ridiculous. I don't know.
Dude, like I was trying to stream this.
Plus, I mean, I gotta say too, the guy was a dick to me.
He was a dick to you?
Yeah,
What?
it's somewhere along the line, like he defriended me on Facebook for something.
Oh, how awful!
So that's it.
Dick.
No, I mean, like, I don't even know, like, there was like a few times where it might have been like arguments over like ANCAP or something, and
Like with him directly.
Yeah, and it's not even like, I don't even consider myself an anarcho-capitalist. I consider myself an anarchist without hyphens.
Oh,
I mean, because like
anarchists without borders. No, I get
No,
you,
but
though.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't like throwing around labels like that
I like the
either.
term market anarchist,
Yeah.
and I think you can have people sharing, and you could have voluntary socialism and a libertarian society or a quote anarchist society. I'm a voluntarist, and I don't know. I mean, it's basically like something I said pissed him off, but. It's not like
He's not even really arguing with the capital.
It's not like I post mean things on Facebook, and
like.
the guy knows who I am. I don't know. I don't know. He just wasn't very nice to me. He just kind of came off as a dick. So,
I'm not surprised.
yep.
So is there anything else we want to talk about?
I was just thinking it would be almost an honor if like Austin Peterson were to like listen to this and then go on his show and just like start talking shit.
Dude, he's not gonna do that, man. He's like a presidential candidate.
Oh,
dude.
that's right.
Yeah.
I heard him tear apart a Marine once. It was actually pretty cool.
even though dude,
You heard him in the Cantwell show?
No.
Dude, that was the worst thing.
Yeah, that's the fucked up thing, because it's like Cantwell. I mean, I do like. What do you think about Cantwell, dude?
I mean, I think he's a huge asshole.
Yeah, I like him half the time.
I don't
and
think he
half the
says
time pisses
anything
me
that
off.
someone else isn't saying. So I don't really find any reason to ever really read or listen to his stuff. Like, I like that other dude more who, what's the guy who made the video about when is it right to, like, kill a police officer?
Yeah,
or
Larkin
whatever?
Rose.
What's his name?
Larkin Rose.
Rose.
He's the
Rose.
reason I'm an anarchist.
Yeah, that guy's
Yeah,
cool.
when he made, I'm allowed to rob you.
Cantwell's-
Yeah, I'm allowed to rob
Cantwell's
you.
not saying anything that guy's not saying.
Yeah, I mean,
And anything that he is saying that isn't what that guy's saying is
Yeah,
like
like-
fucked up and retarded.
yeah, like it definitely Cantwell's more like it seems to be more like just like a bigoted anarchist, like a lot of the time. But at the same time, like I mean, I can't get behind everything the guy says. I can get behind a lot of what the guy says. And I gotta say, when I heard him speak a couple years ago at PorkFest, I was moved, man. I was like fucking. I mean, he was a really good speaker. Like, I mean, I feel like if he could like just tone down the asshole vibe, maybe get rid of like some of the hate that he has harbored. I think he could be a very powerful speaker. Like there's like I like Christopher Cantwell half the time, and then the other half of the time he's just like pissing me off. But for some reason I still pay attention to him a little bit. I gotta say I like him more than Austin
Did you
Peterson.
hear he got kicked off Free Talk Live?
When was this?
Like recently, like
What
maybe,
happened?
Like maybe yesterday or the day before.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Who kicked him off? Do you know?
I don't know, dude. I just saw the headline and maybe like the first paragraph.
Okay.
But I think he said something that was like, I don't know, racist or something.
Well, I mean, that's a shame, man. Because like, I don't know. I mean, I think if that guy, like I said, sometimes he really pisses me off. Sometimes he's awesome. Like I think he's gifted in speaking. When he's not being an
It's
asshole.
mainly like the
Does that
petty
make it a
stuff
lot
that I find to be the worst. Like all the drama stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
No, totally. And there are just too many times where he's just trying to be like sensationalistic and just say asshole shit just to get more people like, hey, look at me. He's like flinging his arms back and forth, shouting profanities. You know what I mean? Or not even profanities, just bigoted statements. And yeah, so that's my view. But I still, like
what kind of bigoted
I
statements?
still like him more than Austin Peterson.
Like-
Yeah, I mean, I would say that too.
What's he saying that's bigoted? Just
he's gonna be like, when it comes to like a feminist or something, he's gonna come off like fucking Rush Limbaugh of like libertarianism. You know what I mean?
Okay.
When I don't. He just comes off of like
Just
it's
like inflammatory.
He's an anarchist, but somehow he's a right wing anarchist. He's just like I don't know, man. Yeah. He just comes off as like a dick a lot of the time,
Well, I mean, being an anarchist isn't necessarily mutually exclusive from being an asshole.
Yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right. But I just think for me, it's a shame because I do like him half the time when he's not being an asshole.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think that's all we got for today, man.
Okay. Well, until next time, live free.
We'll do the best for you, and I believe that we have the power. blood that is shed, drenching the flags of the tax bombs in red, was its way of doing the expense of the many, soldiers and cards in a death machine. You can't justify killing by economic gain. For God, country, and democracy, you can put freedom in gunpoint in a foreign land. You support the troops, then bring them home. I believe that you will do the best for you, and I believe that we have the power, have the power. I hate the state, and I know I'm a slave. We can make the break the power, break the power. Society owes individuals nothing more than non-interference with natural rights. Once a virtuous person fully comprehends the non-aggression principle, the violence of the state becomes absolute.